What's up, y'all? It's Chris Chance. I'm here with Talking URL, greeted by my co-host Jack Lightburn, fellow
What's up,
URL.
everybody?
We're here with a legend.
Real legend.
Don't gas me.
Legend. Introduce yourself to the people. Let them know who you are. Say it loud and proud.
I came here with nothing prepared. So hi, I'm Max. I do a lot of different shit, like just creative projects, and I don't know. I don't like titles anymore because everybody's like an A&R or whatever. But I've been doing that for a few years, and I just try to like see things in people that they might not see in themselves, and like help them bring it out, and hopefully build a long career with that. That's pretty much what I do. Okay. And yeah, right now I'm just in this weird new world, and now in your guys' weird new world. So
yes,
yeah, let's get into some shit. If you want to, I guess maybe we should have some context of like how we all know each other. That might be good.
Yeah. We're gonna lead into that. So like,
okay.
What is, before we get to that, I want to ask, what was your first username or gamer tag?
Oh,
like,
shit.
Alias.
Okay. I wasn't the craziest gamer, but the first one that came to mind was my first AOL, which was Music DJ 102 at AOL.
That's funny as fuck. That's cool as hell. Now, like, you're still like in music and all that. Like,
I was like 4 or 5 when I made that or some shit. Like AOL, like it's that era.
Fucking AIM and shit. That's I find it interesting because it's like if you look at somebody's first profile name or something, it kind of usually ties back into what they're doing right now. Like, so that's really cool to know. But yeah, let's give people the context. So
okay,
I think almost everybody on this podcast kind of has been in the same I guess hometown on the internet. And let's talk about that. So what is your hometown of the internet?
I guess I want to say like, well, I know what you're thinking, but let me try to contextualize it the way that makes the most sense to me. People who love Kanye West, so naturally KTT is a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Like New York City, like downtown New York City creative vibe. I guess is the hometown, and like literally the hometown now. I don't know if you guys are here right now, but I'm back in the city. Yeah, that shit. And I guess like Twitter. I've been on Twitter over 10 years now. I realized recently.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But that's crazy to me because I was like, I don't remember what the fuck I was doing on Twitter. Like I think I followed a few musicians and I was like trying to write and just like meet people or whatever. Yeah, like that type of shit's making me feel old. So yeah, I'm part of that early KTT scene. I think we're all kind of from there to a degree. Yeah. And I never talk about this shit publicly. This is probably the only time in my life I'm ever going to talk about this.
Okay. This is funny. Because anytime I talk about it, people are like, all right, let's talk about it. But I didn't. Do you want to dive into it that much, or do you just want to kind of gloss over it in terms of like?
Oh no. We could totally talk about it because we all met through there, and that's how I met Jason Seidman. I feel like more people that we all know were on it, but like we didn't necessarily meet on there.
Yeah, you know it was like we find out later on, like, oh, you was on there too, like.
Yeah,
it
like,
just
like
seems like the communities
through there.
The communities are kind of built outside and in and around all of it.
Yeah, and everybody just went to Twitter eventually, or like, or met similar people that knew other people through it, or whatever. But yeah, definitely that was the scene, and like. A lot of crazy shit has happened from KTT. Like even Haji, like starting there with his music or whatever. Like that shit has really been tripping me out the last couple of years. The more people that I realize are from there.
Yeah, no, it is. It's like I don't know. You start it's kind of just like I said in this last podcast. It's kind of like a fraternity. It's like everybody's like low key and like Kappa T or something.
That's hilarious.
Like I find it to be very funny because I mean, like, it leads to all different types of places. You know, I talk to musicians, I talk to, you know, I mean, like models, directors, blah blah blah. And you do a lot of things, but one thing I really want to talk to you about, Max, I've really been wanting to talk to you. I've been looking for. Let's talk about these fucking NFTs, bro.
I knew it was coming.
Let's get into this, bro. Sure. I have never seen somebody sell it and be so informed about it as you've been. Like you,
every day I've woken up tweeting about NFTs.
Yeah, and it's like,
for a few months now, right?
I'm kind of like a dummy when it comes to NFTs. Like I kind of get it. Like I figure out it's like digital ownership, but like, give your how were you introduced to NFTs? And no, just go ahead. Actually, just start from there.
Yeah. I'm going to piss a few people off with my origin story because the first NFT I purchased was a Beeple for $1. And Beeple is now like the biggest artist in the world, at least like on the NFT side. But and I want to like preface everything by saying I'm not a blockchain expert. Like I'm not a programmer. I understand these things like, you know, in broad strokes, like more so conceptually. And I'm curious about it, which is why I've gotten so involved like over the last few months. But Beeple's first drop on Nifty Gateway, he did an edition of 100 for $1. I had been following Beeple for a few years just on Instagram from his everydays. Like he does a work of art every day. He's done it for over 5,000 days now. And I saw he was doing it and I was like, it's $1. I have nothing to lose. So let me see what this is about. And I noticed that like more and more artists that I was following on Twitter at the beginning of COVID were like going on Maker's Place, which is another platform, and Super Rare got really big and you know, people on the timeline are seeing people selling shit for like 5 figures or whatever on Super Rare. So I was just really curious. I went on the drop. I somehow got one. Like it was still early then, so there were a lot of people going for them, but like now that would be impossible without botting it. You know, and like hypebeasts are on it now. So like people who bought like Finish Line or whatever the fuck, like are doing this to Nifty Gateway and other platforms. But yeah, I got number 95 out of 100. So like almost didn't get one, but I got one. And I went on Maker's Place from there. Like I started to understand more of like, you know, what is like how much is shit selling for and like what artists are like the top artists and who are some of the influential collectors or investors or whatever. And like all this shit is free. Like it's Google and Twitter and Discord research. So you just got to put in the time. And like what really blew my mind was the smart contract aspect of it and like people being able to earn royalties in perpetuity on their work and like all these amazing things that as someone working formerly like in the music industry, like the major music industry, and now sort of working like parallel to it or like adjacent to it. I was like, okay, there's something to do here in music, but also like I love visual art and I have some friends that do it. So like, let me see how I can involve them or how I could support other artists that I follow on Twitter or fuck with or whatever. So that's where it started. And the Beeple piece quickly went from like $1 to people selling it for like a few hundred or a few thousand. And then like 4,000 by the end of last year. And I was like, this is a pretty great come up. Like I do a little bit of stocks and like other shit. And I was like, $1 into $4,000 is like, that's a pretty crazy come up. Like you never get that return usually on a stock or anything. So I was contemplating selling it. And then for whatever reason, I was like, you know what? I love this artist. I have loved this artist for a long time. I'm gonna hold this shit and just see what happens. And you know, if I make any money off of it, that's a bonus. It was $1. And I started buying like not crazy expensive pieces on Maker's Place, like just of cool stuff I was seeing. Cause like, why not, just to understand it. So I put in like a couple $100 or whatever. And then yeah, at the top of the year, it started climbing like $5,000, $10,000. When it hit $10,000 and I started telling people, they're like, you're fucking crazy for not selling this. Like, why haven't you sold it yet?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was $1. Like, why, what, like, I'm here for the ride, like whatever.
Yeah, for real.
And then, bro, and there are 100 of them. Like he did other drops and like I think his total circulation of NFTs now is like still under 1,000.
Okay.
So it's still pretty limited, like total all of his drops so far. And then this is like basically like a TLDR of like how NFTs have blown up for anyone who's watching this. Like this is how Beeple has become famous, basically. But people just kept scooping up his shit on the secondary market, and it started going from like people selling the piece I have for like 10K a day, 15K, whatever, going up and up and up, and then it hit 100K like a month ago or 3 weeks ago or something. And I was like, okay, like I don't know why I haven't bought a lot more. So I started like buying shit that I've been looking at for months, and like, you know, putting in some real investment like into artists that I believe in, nothing crazy, but like, you know, buying pieces for a few $100 here and there. And like now a lot of those pieces are like the blue chip like assets of NFTs, like artists that are like the Teslas and Apples of this new thing. And it's not just about the money. Like I want to make that like very apparent to the people I work with and the people I talk to about it. But I think it's important to talk about it because it is a business, like at the end of the day. And there are great things about it. There are problems with it already. And, you know, I think it just needs, like, people just need to be transparent about why they're doing it, because it should be about the artists and not people just trying to cash in on like the hot new thing. And naturally, like, that is happening already, especially with it trending and shit. But yeah, Beeple has a Christie's auction. So that's like, his pieces are just booming right now. It's insane. And it's going to be a lot crazier in the next month or two.
So in terms of like, I guess like the way that things are like stored and everything, it's similar to like just like a blockchain wallet. Like you have like an address or something, and then it just like goes to that.
Yeah, and it depends on the platform, because like Nifty Gateway, it's like, it's not really a wallet like a MetaMask or something like that, where it's like an Ethereum wallet. It's like, it's sort of native to their site. So some people even argue like, don't keep your shit on their site because like you don't own it and they own your wallet. But like there are all these things in terms of like how to sell them, and you know, everybody makes their own choices with this shit. But yes, like essentially you store it in a wallet, and the platforms all have different, you know, procedures and things that you could do.
Got you. It's like when I first got into, I guess, like, you know, trying to research it and all that, I saw the art aspect and all that, but then I started getting confused with like resources, like, or like explain how like an art, like, it's hard for me to even like explain my question because it's hard for me to like, but it's like, okay, like a certain person can sell a service or something that they're doing at like on blockchain or something like that, or like a certain resource, a digital resource. Like,
yeah. So it's crazy because we're gonna watch this back in a few years and be like, this was like a crazy moment to document. So the phase we're in right now is what I'm calling the collectibles phase. And by like, all this shit is my opinion. Like I'm not the number one expert on this shit. This is just my opinion, like what I've learned over the last few months. What I feel right now is a collectibles phase where people are essentially investing in tradable assets. So like, if I make an NFT tomorrow, whether it's like an incredible drawing or painting or digital work, or like, you know, the laziest thing you can imagine, essentially selling that thing as an NFT or attaching the blockchain smart contract to that image or that thing, like you're creating a tradable asset of like what the Max Kulchinsky brand is or whatever, you know, or in another, or a Beeple or whoever. You don't own the art unless it's stated like, you know, when you purchase it. So like, for example, like I can't make copies of the Beeple artwork and sell them, or I can't use them for like an album artwork for an artist I work with or whatever, you know. That's what I mean by the collectibles phase, is like people are essentially trading assets from different brands or people or artists or music, whatever. It's like a stock in that, like there's cultural capital, and the supply and demand really determines the price. Like you're not trading, like in most cases, something that goes beyond the smart contract. Some people are attaching physical items to them, like you know, merch, or something I really want to do is vinyl records. And I think I'm going to wind up doing that very soon, which I'm excited about. Like events, like concert tickets. A lot of people are predicting like this could really disrupt the resale market. experiences, like maybe like backstage passes for life. You know, if an artist were to sell, like a musician were to sell one for like, you know, hella money or whatever. And there are artists on Nifty Gateway or other platforms right now that are attaching, like Beeple has done a few physical like frames and different things. Slime Sunday has a book attached to one of his pieces. So like, yeah, we're in the collectibles phase. What's really the mind fuck that happens with NFTs and blockchains, smart contracts and all this stuff is when you get into like how this could really upend a lot of systems that already exist, like financial institutions, you know, payments within the music industry or other industries, just the distribution of money and paying people and determining value and all these things. And like, so yeah, right now we're very much in like the first phase of it. And I think when people talk about like an NFT bubble, they're referring to like, you know, only so many collectibles can be sold. And like only so many baseball cards or vinyl records or coins or stamps are worth a shitload of money. You know, like there's a difference between like a Mickey Mantle rookie card and like, you know, some other baseball player or whatever, you know what I mean? So that's where we're at right now, I think. And people are going to flood the market over the next few months because every record label is talking about how do we do an NFT now when like a few weeks ago, nobody gave a shit when I was trying to talk to them about it. Or anybody for that matter.
Talk your shit.
Yeah. You know, Virgil's about to come into the space. He's going to kill it. I think Virgil might be the biggest NFT artist this time next year, to be honest. If you really, especially with the collaborations he's going to do, like he's going to fucking kill it. And a lot of hip hop artists are just people in like the hip hop rap culture, like whatever. It is fucking culture, period. But like that's lacking a lot from the space right now. And I think like the companies and the teams and artists and whoever that do it the right way in the next like 3 to 6 months are gonna make a ton of money and have a lot of impact. But it's not like there are very few that are genuine at this point that have done that, and musicians period that have done it in like a meaningful, genuine way. And that's one of my big goals is really to like be like, yo, we could do this and like you will make millions of dollars and I'm not going to like take all of it, but like let me help you do it the right way so that you don't burn out on the first drop and like so that people don't cringe at it, you know? So yeah.
That's amazing. I have a lot more clarity about this. So how like accessible is like, I guess like if somebody wanted to just like hypothetically just make an NFT today, like what are the steps that you have to go through to do that?
Yeah, it depends on the platform. I don't want that to be the answer to every question, but it does really matter. The big roadblock right now, just with crypto in general, or with Ethereum in general, but specifically to NFTs, are the gas prices, which is basically like a network transaction fee. So every time you transfer Ether, like you have to burn gas in order to send it. So each transaction like costs money to do. And that's a big problem because on some platforms like that could be $100 or $200 for each piece, like for each edition of each piece. So, you know, there's kind of a high barrier of entry already, like in 2021 for this right now. And people are working on that. There's something, it's way more intricate than I can even understand, but there's something called Harmony Protocol. They're working on like a solution to basically have NFTs like sitting on, and these transactions as a whole, like sit on top of the main chain so that like there's still Ethereum transactions, but like you don't have to pay the same fees. And some people are calling that like chain 2 or link 2, or there's like a few different things. So it's being worked on, but that's a big thing. So like, yeah, you do have to have some upfront capital. And I say to people, like, you have to build like momentum in a community and people that want to invest in your work. It's like anything else, you know, like just because you make something doesn't mean it's worth anything to someone else. Like it could be worth $6.6 million. Like with Beeple last week, somebody resold a piece for that much, just one piece. You know, it could be worth nothing. It could sit on Rarible for 6 months. And like, and that's a platform that's like open for anyone to use. That's one to look at. Not my favorite personally, but like, you know, and there's also the whole gatekeeper thing. It's like getting on a Spotify playlist to a certain degree. It's like not everybody could drop on Nifty Gateway. It's too poppin'. Like even like big people can't drop on there anymore because they're late now. And like, you know, they're doing a lot of shit. And the same with Super Rare. Like there are great artists that I know that haven't gotten in yet. Like Zora is a really cool one right now. I would say that's like the really like cool kid indie vibe one. Yeah. Zora. Shout out to Felt Zine. They have a great page on there. Shout out to Squibs. He did his first drop on there and like sold his first piece in a day and made a really good amount of money on a sick piece. There are a few, and also I'm really interested in this new one called Bitsky, where you could pay with a credit card, similar to Nifty Gateway and Maker's Place. So I think that makes it easy too for anyone that wants to maybe buy a piece or try to, you know, support an artist or whatever. It's like you have to learn how to buy crypto, transfer it to a wallet, you know, understand the gas fee thing. And like even I struggle with it sometimes. Like I've had trouble on some of these platforms, like checking out with Ether. It's, you know, it's not for the weak-hearted or like for the, you know, whatever.
It's not. Yeah, I understand that perfectly. Like, because with Bitcoin, it's still in that point. I mean, not Bitcoin, but just all cryptocurrency in general. It's where it's just not like you don't have like a Bitcoin card. It's not as like, you know, simple as that. Like, it's just like, dude, you got to type in this whole code and all this stuff. Like, so I think that's really interesting that you can like pay with card on there. It's going to make it a lot more accessible. Like,
fun. Yeah. It makes it really easy to get into some of these new drops. And that's why Nifty Gateway, I think, especially right now, is just fucking booming because like there are drops almost every single night of the week. And like, if there are open editions, which basically means like, it's not like you have to get on the drop the second it drops and like it's limited, like whoever wants to purchase it within a certain window of time can. And the last time people did that was like in December, for example. And he sold like, I think, close to like 1,000 copies of like 3 or 4 different pieces. And that seemed high at the time. But then like Micah Johnson was an incredible artist, a former MLB player for the Dodgers. I think it was the Dodgers, the Braves, and the White Sox. He quit baseball to pursue art. He put out this amazing piece last week on Nifty Gateway that I think everybody should know about. It's an incredible character named Aku, who's a black astronaut. And the whole series was sort of like Micah's response to his nephew. I think it was his nephew who like asked if astronauts could be black, and like it's this whole like universe he's building of like, you know, like for young kids, like that anything is possible, and like they're gonna learn it through this character, and he did this incredible drop, and he beat the record for open editions. I think he sold like 1,100 or 1,400 or something in a few minutes, and then a few days later, an artist. So he made like over $1 million just on that one piece in a few minutes, and then because they were $1,000 each. That's the point I was getting to, by the way. It's like the open editions, you can get in on it, but it's like some of them are expensive. Like now they're like $1,000. Last year they might have been like 50 or 100 or whatever. But real quick before we move on, because this is a very important piece, and like this is not investment advice, but financial disclosure, whatever the fuck. But like I love this piece, and everybody loves this piece that's in the scene right now, I'd say. It's called Bitcoin Angel. It's by an artist named Trevor Jones. And
Write that down.
Yeah, right.
Wait, bring it up on your computer screen, Jack.
It's on, you can share it. It's on Nifty Gateway. It's the number, if you go to niftygateway.com and you click stats, it's the #1 piece on the marketplace. Yeah, so it's fucking booming. And he sold like 4,100 copies in 7 minutes at $1,000, or no, at $777 a pop. So he made like some fucking crazy amount, like 3 million or 4 million in 7 minutes. And it's the most traded piece on the website already. It's been out for like 5 days or something. And it has like the crypto Bitcoin theme. It has like a sort of like a classical look. Classical is probably not the right art term. I'm really tired, guys. No, it's a great piece. And like, I think this one, if you're bullish on Bitcoin, like you should be bullish on this piece because there's another giveaway when Bitcoin hits 77 grand. Like he's gonna give away like a custom drawing or something like that. It's a deep rabbit hole, everybody.
No, yeah,
fucking rabbit hole.
I'll be
one
real,
really
dude,
interesting thing here is that this is like another continuation of one thing that I've noticed about all of us and people that are friends with us and people around us is that like things like this take an investment of time and interest to get into. All the things that we care about, we actually care about and we put time into, whether it's, going on forums to find music leaks or pre-sale codes for tours or, going through these sites and looking through these arts. I think that's a pretty interesting commonality. So I wanted to go back to collectibles because I know that you're a big record collector. I wanted to talk about your record collection. Do you have any specific favorites or any you want to talk about?
Actually, take us on a tour. Yeah, take us on a tour.
Sweet.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, I need to fill up the bottom shelf, but yeah.
Okay,
show us. Pretty good so far.
Do you have your favorite 3 on standby, like where where they're at, or they're just hidden?
I can't pick 3, dude. Because and it depends. Like when people come over or whatever. By the way, if you're watching this, if you want to come over, you got to get tested. There's no conversation about that. Yeah. But when people come over, I usually like if they ask me that or they want to see like specific things, like Blonde is kind of a quintessential record to own, but it's like $1,000 now. It's fucking crazy on Discogs and eBay and all that.
That shit was an NFT.
Yeah, that's
yeah. When you were talking about the Beeple piece earlier, I was like, oh, this is just my Blonde vinyl. Yeah,
except it's like 100 times more expensive right now, or 150 times more expensive right now. I have Ready to Die on the table right now, actually, because I was going to listen to it and then like more calls happened in the afternoon. But so many. I mean, I have even just on the wall here, I have like, this is from when I met Twigs last year. I don't know. I got that one I bought. I met Kendrick once, but that was like for Butterfly. But
Kid A poster in the background. Can't forget. I just got it. Hell
all right,
yeah. So
I'll tell a quick story about that poster. At the time, it was one of my great accomplishments when I was like 20 years old or like 19 years old or something. Jesus Christ, I'm telling the story. So I was working at Sony Music doing college marketing, and which basically meant I was like putting up posters and like doing like campus events and like networking and like trying to do shit and getting paid minimum wage. And I went to this record store a lot downtown. I'm not going to name the record store, but one day like I would always talk to the owner because he was just like a real schmoozer or whatever. And he would always say like, Sony never sends me shit. Like they used to send me free shit and they never send me shit. And like record store day comes and they never like hook me up or whatever. And one day I was just schmoozing with him or whatever. And I look up at the ceiling and that poster is like clipped to the ceiling. Like he had like paper, like potato chip clips on the poster, like tied to the ceiling or whatever. And I was like, is that an original Kid A poster? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, can I buy that off of you? And he was like, I don't usually sell those. And I was like, how do I walk out of your store with that poster? Like, that's my grail. Like, this is like, if not my favorite album of all time, like in the top 5 or 10 or 3 or 2, whatever. And I basically just like went to Sony and I was like, this record store guy like always complains that like we never give him stuff. And like, he's just like, every time I come in to put up posters, he like gives me a hard time. Like, can you just give me a bag like full of records or like full of like promo shit that I could give to him? And I just like show up literally with the bag, like this huge like bag of shit. And he took down the poster and he gave it to me.
That's so fire. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like really a badge of honor at this point. Like that was a reflection of what you were doing at the time. You got that because you was doing your job good, man. That's fire.
Yeah.
It's a lot of music. Damn.
Yeah. I have a few pieces in here that like that have meaning. And they're just like little reminders. Like on the surface they look like memorabilia or whatever, but they're like, like don't forget that one. Like when you're on that call and you look at that, it's like that type of thing.
Okay. So now we still
and that's what records are for too, by the way. For me. It's like it's so much about that. Like I know you're a huge D'Angelo fan. Like I need more D'Angelo vinyl in my life. Like I don't have enough. I only have Brown Sugar. you know, I have like almost every James Blake record. So like all of those kind of come from different times in my life and like buying them in stores in different parts of the world or whatever. Like other music. There you go. There you fucking go.
It is a crazy gatefold. It has like a book in it.
That's nice. That's really nice. Is that a repress?
Yes, it's a repress.
Okay. I'm just gonna get one at some point. I've been holding out to get an original, but they're like $100 or like $200.
I had that same feeling with Matt Villainy, and then everything happened, and then they what you call it
hold up.
Stones Throw did the repress, and I was like, oh my god, thank you. Like
you know how that's how I am with the because of the internet vinyl. I'm not gonna buy a repress. I have to get the screenplay. Have to.
You gotta get this. Well, which one are you trying to get though? Are you trying to get
not the tour one, just the original pressing?
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to get that Roscoe wetsuit. For real, bro. That shit that's impossible.
I have the bootleg. I have two versions of the bootleg and the screenplay.
Wow.
And I've sold some stuff. Like there were times in my life where like it wasn't even necessarily like I needed the money, but I was kind of just like I'm willing to part with this and like let someone who's gonna love this more than me have it. Mm-hmm. So I've sold like a few things over the years, but yeah, I have all of those, and one of them is still sealed actually. One of the bootlegs.
Nice.
So, yeah, but this is an important record because I bought this on a work trip to LA. This is an original, and you look at the Amoeba sticker. Where is it? $9.99. That's what I paid for this like 3 years ago at Amoeba in Hollywood. I think the receipt's still in here somewhere. I kept that for whatever reason, and like you know.
No, you have kind of glad. But your reminder.
But yeah, like I was at I think I was at the Capitol building in Hollywood because it's like right down the block from there, and like someone that I used to work with had just moved around there, so like I was kind of like in between shit, and I popped in there and I saw this, and I really thought of Jason because this is like one of Jason's favorite albums. Like and he put me onto this album heavy. Like Kid A too, honestly. Like he was really just like
what's his name on K? Wasn't it like Mad Villainy something?
Yeah,
it might have been.
It was Mad Villainy. I remember because he had the Mad Lib. Oh wow, the receipt.
Yeah, it's like so random.
Yeah, the Mad Lib Abby on that mug. No,
yeah,
it was something interesting. Like I feel like I don't know when you see like when you walk or like say like when you on a call, right?
Yeah.
And you see somebody's background and you see they got the record like you know shit all in the back. You're like, oh, this is someone of culture. Like you know like we can have a talk.
That happened with me on a work call, like, and that'll happen in music, but like a dude that I didn't really, I didn't expect him to be into it, like had a great, like, you think my shelf is sick. He had like double the amount. I think like his dad gave him a bunch, but it was sick. I love talking to people about this stuff. And these are the things that like they're just things. And they're obviously like material goods aren't the most important things in life, but like we all appreciate, at least us three, like all appreciate certain collectibles or certain whatever from different artists or different times in our life. And it's like, this is like the shit we're going to have our whole lives. Like, I don't ever think I'm going to sell my records, like, unless I really have to. It's wild, man.
No, yeah. It's like, why? Like, I feel like if you're into music, it's kind of like like you start off with like having the perfect iTunes library. You know what I mean? Like, all of your artwork is perfect, blah, 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 and you're like, I actually need to hold this. I need to have this, like, I don't know. I have to, like, I binge with vinyls. Like, I'll basically have, like, probably a month or something. I'll just go crazy. I'll probably buy, like, 10. And I just got to stop for a while. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you know. But it's really fun going to those. Because it has, like, a thrift aspect to it also. Like, because you can obviously go get new ones and shit. You can go to Rough Trade. You can get the brand new shit. But if you go to those really old, random ass, you know, like record shops, like I went into one a few days ago. I found like this the Roberta Flack Feel Like Making Love record for like $10.
Hell yeah.
Some Stevie for like 10. Like,
you got to have Stevie. I have almost every Stevie now. That took a few years.
Ooh, that's fire.
And they're not even that expensive. Like you could get, I got a brand new copy of Hotter Than July, still sealed at Bleecker Street Records right before COVID for like $10.
Wow.
I couldn't even believe that it was still sealed from like what year did that album come out? Like 80 something? Like 82 or 84 or something?
Yeah.
Like
it's shit, like
that's one of my favorites. Yeah. And a lot of them are really cheap. Like you can get Intervisions for like $8, $10. I think the whole vinyl market has really gone up though since COVID, which is kind of interesting too. But
speaking of vinyls, Max, do you own any Daft Punk? I don't think. Have we talked about this at all, Chris? Yet? Have we talked about Daft Punk?
No.
So Max, we can start with your
morning.
We can start with your Daft Punk collection, then we can transition to Daft Punk itself.
The Daft Punk collection.
I have,
if you own any.
Yeah, I have 3 Daft Punk records. I have Discovery, probably like a repress. It's not like a special copy. I really want the Japanese one. I tweeted about that today, actually.
Grail.
That's a Grail. That's a Grail. That shit is like, I thought it was expensive before they broke up. That shit now is like a few grand, right?
It's over. If you wanted anything Daft Punk before this, like
yeah,
like all records are out of press too. So even Discovery, like which I got like maybe a year ago, flipping.
Yeah.
At least if you have your Alive 2007 fund, you can invest that to NFTs now. So
that's true. That's true. I should have, dude. I regret not copying that. I do have the Tron soundtrack. I have a special version that came out last year. It was like UK only. And buying records from the UK is very mixy, as you might know, like if you have, because like people just mail them in like the flimsiest mailers, like no padding, like no hard cardboard. It's just like an envelope, or like they like wrap it in newspaper or some shit, like fish and chips. But I got like a crispy ass copy of the Tron repress they did for the 10th anniversary, and I haven't opened it yet. I need to open that and listen to that soon. And then I have Random Access. Like I bought that probably the day it came out, and that's probably one of my favorite records, like low key, because I don't listen to it that much, but when I do, I'm like, yo, like this album exists. Like we're lucky we got this.
Like yo, when Giorgio,
I'm not like RIPing Daft Punk. Like they're still alive. Like we got a great last album. That's enough for me.
It's crazy thinking about it, because like when you listen to the last track for the first time, like you didn't realize that was it. That was over. Like that is one of the most like beautiful endings of an album now. Like it was already amazing then, but just thinking back at it now, like, wow. I think still probably the most impressive song on that album to me is Giorgio by Morder. That song is so fucking like, there's this one little part in that song where it goes like, that shit has been in my head for like the last fucking like 8 years now. Like, but oh my god,
those string arrangements are crazy. Like I mean the whole record. People who were on Twitter talking shit about that record the day they broke up, I was like, how do you not like this? Like, do you not like Pharrell? Like, do you not like guitar riffs? Like, do you not?
You don't like Niles Rodger?
I don't get it.
Yeah, you don't appreciate Niles Rodger?
How the fuck you don't
bro, dude, Doing It Right is a classic, like, New York City venue pre-concert song. Yes. Like, they would play that at, like Irving Plaza. They would play that all the time before the person would get on stage, or, like different venues. That song, those 808s fucking slap. Like, I don't know, bro.
Yo, I don't know what they were doing. Because, like, yo, when we think about it, because I remember, like, yo, if you're a real Daft Punk head, if you a stan, you remember watching the Collaborator series. You was watching every one of them shits every week. When Pharrell was talking about that drug, I was like, wait, these niggas is on some whole other shit. They drugged Pharrell, and they got the best performance ever from this nigga. Like, are you, okay, I know Get Lucky is the best pop song of the decade. I understand. It's like, okay. But it's like, Lose Yourself to Dance.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm one of those people. Like, I guess like Lose Yourself to Dance and Get Lucky is like Blonde and Endless. Like, which one do you like? Or something? Like, I'm big. Like,
that's a bar.
That's an incredible comparison.
It's
a bar.
You know what I mean? Like, so what is your? What are you going with? If you in the club right now, you have to play a song. You're in your 70s.
Like if I have aux, which one am I playing?
Yeah, which one are you playing?
The thing with Get Lucky is it was so overplayed that a lot of people will never fuck with it because of that. So like Lose Yourself to Dance just has a different vibe to it, but Get Lucky is the one, you know?
The way that shit starts at like they was on something. I don't
they're fearless. That's something I want to say about Daft Punk. Like they were absolutely fearless with their creative choices, especially on the first couple records. And like, I was actually listening to Discovery the weekend before they announced the breakup, because I was just looking at my shelf and I was like, what am I going to play? And one of the artists I manage, Bloody White, is super inspired by Daft Punk. Like, at least like when he first started, like that was the shit that got, like, it was like Skrillex and Daft Punk made him learn Ableton and like become a producer. And I was sitting right here and I was listening to Aerodynamic, and I was like, it was just so experimental and like so it like gives you such a palpable like human feeling of like, what the fuck is this, but also like it makes perfect sense, you know what I mean? And
like when that guitar comes in out of nowhere, it's like
stupid.
It felt like a roller coaster. It's like they're jerking you all around, like and
structure, they were fearless with that.
The thing about Discovery too is that that might be like top 3 or 5 most timeless albums. If you play it for anybody and you ask them to name a year for it, nobody's gonna get it right. Nobody.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's that album.
I think we lost him for a second, but I'll fill in for him. But yeah, the thing with Discovery is like the day I play that for my kids, I could lie to them and tell them that it came out like in 20 whenever I have kids, and they probably believe it.
Yeah.
Because the way that they mix the textures of sounds on there, and just, it's unbelievable. It doesn't sound too dated when they're sampling rock, and it doesn't sound too early 2000s with the poppier sounding songs. It doesn't fit into any mold or any box.
It's like a Dr. Dre album in that sense, where it's like, it's just so clean that you could play it at any time and it still work, or even Dilla for that matter. It's like, it's like always of the times in a weird way. That's the music that I love. Like, and not to sound corny or like that's what my career is about or whatever, but like that's what drives me like to continue working in music, because it's like the industry is not the prettiest place, and like and I do it for that reason, is like to try to accomplish that thing, and that could take a fucking long time. I think you're probably figuring that out right now, Chris. Like putting out music and like. And like doing it, like actually doing it, it's like it's an exercise, right?
It is. It's like I work. I'm a copywriter right now, so like I work. I write a lot, and like when I started doing that, it got me way better at rapping because I'm always writing now, and it's like I guess if I had to do like say like if I had to write some lines or something, I'm gonna have to come up with like fucking 40 different ways to do this shit, right? So it's like if I'm doing that, like. Rapping this shit is easy now. Like I'm just gonna but it's really cool to like be in that position, because right now we just did the first drop, everything rolled out and stuff, but it's like there's a lot that we learned. There's a lot of shit that we didn't know. Like there's a lot of logistics and all that to this. So I commend you for wanting to make that an easier process for the artists that you're working with, for real, because it's just like it's a lot when you're trying to make the music. You gotta do all this other crazy shit. So, and also thank you, Jackathy. Doing everything you need to do.
Make sure he doesn't steal your publishing, bro.
Yes.
Max is definitely always. Max has always definitely been somebody who supports artists and will go out of the way to spend money on artists. Is there any artist that you felt you've ever supported too much, or like anything in retrospect where like if you could clean up like the timeline? Because there's definitely CDs that I bought in the past, like I have like 2 ASAP Ferg CDs, and I was like, I don't think I will ever consume either of these albums with this CD ever again. And I don't know what I was thinking when I bought them.
Don't shut up, Ferg, bro. That's a New York legend.
Yo, come on, bro.
Love to Ferg.
He's so nice. I wish I went back and bought his first album, because that shit bricked. Or not Trap Lord, like the first like.
Can we talk about Trap Lord though?
Yeah, I mean that one.
Talk about Trap Lord.
That one aged well. I mean, it's not my favorite of that time, but it's a great record.
People don't really. I think that the most interesting thing about it is that it was really one of the last projects that. Well, it really was the last project that Yams had heavy involvement with. Like, I think about that album. Trap Lord is really. It felt like an ASAP Yams album, and he was living vicariously through like Ferg was able to like get Yams's vision out so well, but like we love, like, bro, everybody in Coral Studios knows that, like, bro, we would sit on Skype and, like, before Discord where you could just play music, I would sit there with my phone to the speaker and we would just listen to, like, the track. Like,
and what would the modern version of that be? Like Die Lit or some shit, or the self-titled, like,
it was an album that caught us off guard. Like, we knew it was gonna be good, but I didn't know it was gonna be like something I'm listening to every day. Like, but yeah, I think his first album, you know, like when it came out, it kind of like, you know, ruffled.
Always Strive and Prosper. That was it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I bought the Best Buy. That's what I'm saying. I bought the Best Buy Deluxe Edition. I remember
you got the
going to Best
track.
Buy.
You can be today.
It was one of those purchases where I was like, I probably wasn't thinking too far outside of, I was in Best Buy. They had physical CDs. I was like, well, I have money today. So what CD am I going to buy?
Right.
And I was like, I already have all these Kanye CDs. I already have all these Jay-Z CDs. Oh, new A$AP Ferg release, Deluxe Edition, Best Buy only? Well.
Why not? Yeah.
So is there anybody like that for you? You're just like.
Is there anyone I regret support? I don't think I would even say that publicly. Like, just because I don't want to shit on anyone.
Let's reframe it. Regrets.
Yeah, I was not shitting on A$AP.
Yeah, regrets. Like, it's kind of harder. Let's say if
somebody were to see your collection and they saw like your whole collection, not just the displayed ones, everything you've ever bought, ones you'd have to explain to them.
You know what's fucking hilarious? I thought of this the other day. If iTunes counts, not CDs or whatever, does that count? I bought like some stupid fucking Family Guy song when I was a kid, like a Seth MacFarlane like Family Guy song or some shit when I was like 9 or something. That's like still associated on my iTunes, or maybe it was my old iTunes. I don't remember, but like dumb shit like that. I mean, there are a few artists like actually I'll say this one publicly. There was a group called Carmen, like Karmin, and it was like some pop shit that like, I don't know why I bought that CD. I was like probably in middle school or some shit. I do have like a soft spot for pop music, but like, yeah, that one did not age well. I can say that confidently.
Carmen.
Bad. I bought a Royce the 5'9" vinyl once too. I sold that.
Really?
Shit. Yeah.
Shout out to Royce the 5'9". Shout out to Detroit.
Yeah, it was like Success is Certain or one of those albums.
Mm-hmm.
I sold that album for sure.
What was the first one? Like, what was the first vinyl you ever got?
Or physical?
That I bought?
Yeah.
Or, I wish I remembered my first CD. I'm sure it was like probably, because I have 2 older sisters, so it was probably like NSYNC or Britney or one of those. Because like that's what I remember from my early childhood. So the way I got into vinyl is my mom had a bunch of hers from like her college years or whatever in the basement. And when I was like, I want to say like 12, maybe 13, maybe 14, like somewhere in that period, it was probably like 13 or 14. I just like asked her if I could take a look at them and like maybe get a turntable and play some of them. And I'll always remember like one of the first ones I saw, and the one that I immediately gravitated towards was What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. And that's easily one of my favorite records ever. Like, period. Just an incredible. It's a story. It's like one song. It's so perfect. Like, probably the most perfect album that exists to me. Like, as an album, you know, and like with the first concept album or whatever. So I have my mom's copy, and like her name is written on it, which is really cool. I can't remember the first one I bought. It might have been like some Eminem shit or like, I don't remember. Probably Kanye. It was probably Kanye. To be honest. Yeah.
Kanye has a really interesting relationship on Wax. Like, he doesn't really have, like, I guess, like, did he not really care too much? Like, after a while? Like, it was just like.
Yeah. I mean, Graduation never got pressed. But one of the reasons why I think that's the case is the licensing fee to Murakami is probably really expensive for Def Jam. And the samples, like the Daft Punk sample, is probably really expensive. Like to.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if they have to I don't think they have to necessarily pay to clear it for each thing, but it's just like the amount of approvals required is probably a lot. And then Yeezus was supposed to come out on vinyl, but then Virgil, like this is what we would learn through KTT. Like someone pulled up on Virgil in like 2014 and was like, yo, where's the Yeezus vinyl? Like, isn't it supposed to be like a clear record and like a clear box? And he was just like, yeah, we scrapped it. So that's how I knew that like Yeezus was never coming, even though I pre-ordered it or whatever, and it never happened. And like Channel Orange never got, I pre-ordered that record. It never came out. I got an email from Best Buy one day or something. Yeah, Ye does have a weird relationship. Life of Pablo's not on vinyl. Yeah, not all of them are great pressings either.
Yeah.
What you said?
As a Jesus is King is though, that's definitely on vinyl.
I did not buy that shit.
Dude, I
that.
bought it and it came in. I wasn't
in
even
the sleeve.
Yeah,
in the PVC sleeve, right?
I sold it. I was like, all right, word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I appreciate artists that really like go the extra mile, like do the alternate cover. You have the whole gatefold, the book, blah blah blah. Because like,
yeah,
it's amazing, bro. I would love for them to to press Graduation on vinyl. Holy fuck.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I mean, 808s is a great example of a like it's a really good sounding pressing. I actually listened to that recently because it's been a while. And that one sounds incredible, and the packaging is sick, and it has like all the extra cause, like it has the special artwork with the hands, and like not like the normal one that came on the CD with just the heart, and like there's like a poster and a CD, and like it's dope. And yeah, like Dark Fantasy has cool packaging, but the record sounds terrible.
Yeah,
just, like,
I heard that's
so terribly. And even on I mean it's super compressed, but like that's also Mike Dean's style. So like, you know, it's an aesthetic choice to make like a maximalist record and then make it sound like shit on purpose. But
it's funny, bro, because like growing up, there was a like I just probably started understanding mixing probably like in like 2015, 2016, like because you know, like I grew up listening to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy on gummy earbuds. Like we just thought this was normal. It was like when you would get that fucking Dat Piff 192
right.
That shit just
like Rich Forever and like all those mixtapes that just like And
then you remember clicking the screen on your iPod and it would be like Dat Piff, like in the notes or whatever. Like that was a really interesting. Like I try to explain that to some producers sometimes because I know a lot of them like try to like they really like kill themselves in terms of mixing, in terms of like trying to make it perfect. And I'm like, yo, there are gonna be like people like me that appreciate it. But most of these kids listening to this shit on one part, they listen to this shit on their PlayStation.
They listen to it like this. Like they don't
it's like
and AirPods, like which I do too. Like it is what it is, you know? It's
but you know, but I appreciate though when you can pull out the Audio Technias or you can pull out the, you know, open shits and just be able to really like, you know, hear like a well put together, you know, record. It's the audiophile hour on Talking to URL.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But in terms of that, like, you know, like when did you start really like, do you have like a crazy speaker setup or a relatively crazy speaker setup?
It's definitely evolved a lot over the years. So like I probably bought the most vinyl and like did the most like setup work or buying, selling, whatever last year because I was like stuck at home and I still had a job luckily. So I was like, cool, let me like spend some of this money I'm saving on some records or whatever. And like, you know, other things too, and like other responsibilities, but I definitely went in a bit and like, I went to a lot of tag sales and estate sales and shit like that. I was staying on Long Island for a bit during quarantine. So there were a lot of, you know, there are a lot of like old people that die on Long Island that, you know, had turntables and records and shit, or just old people that are still alive, but they know they're going to die. So they're like, let me give this to somebody. Literally like you meet those old people that are like, you could have my Star Trek vinyls. Like you could have whatever. But so I found this amazing turntable. It's from a company called Dual. They were made in Germany in like the late 60s and early 70s, and they've been defunct for a while, but there are like a few people that like hoard all the parts and like remake some of the parts. And that's like a whole other internet hometown that I've joined in the last year is like, not even posting so much, but like just connecting with like these old boomer white guys that like fix turntables and like know all this shit and have taught me so much. So I wound up with this amazing Dual turntable that I took to like one of the guys in New York who's like the expert on those, and like he helped me bring it back to life. I found like this old Pioneer receiver, stereo receiver at a tag sale that was like $10 or something, and I fixed up a bit myself. And then the speakers are new though. I have a pair of ELACs that are pretty good. There's so many debates in the audiophile shit. Like we can get into like passive versus active speakers and like using a stereo receiver versus like, whatever. Yeah, that's another thing where it's like you could research as much as you want or as little as you want, and like, most people won't give a shit how it sounds, but like, if you over the years you begin to notice things, all that. I bought speaker stands that were like more expensive than I thought they would be, but they're aesthetically pleasing, and I needed speaker stands, so I'll have these for 20 years or 30 years or whatever. Yeah,
that shit is amazing. We're definitely gonna do another episode of these soon, where I'm gonna get all the audio files, and I'm gonna just let y'all just go crazy. We can, but I don't know if it's gonna end in blood. Like we definitely need
the loudness wars commence. You know what that is? The loudness wars. Yeah.
But explain it to the people though, because I don't think a lot of people know about that. Like that's a very interesting part in the music industry, like in the history.
Yeah, I don't think it even matters anymore because like people listen off the iPhone, and like like Playboi Carti stuff is mixed like in a way that some people might not agree, whatever, or whatever, like lo-fi music or indie music, or the easiest way I could explain this to someone is like the loudness wars are pretty much about like compression and clipping and all these terms that fall under like how do you get the final master recording, like essentially the final product of like what it's going to sound like on a specific medium. And people like Rick Rubin, for example, crank it all the way, like as loud as it could possibly be, and that's why Jesus kind of sounds the way it is on certain records, like why it's a little abrasive. And obviously like the sonics of the record play into that too, but I don't know, like I'm trying to think of a good record that like, I mean, you could take a Stevie Wonder album on vinyl and then play that, and then on the same speakers play Jesus, and like you could kind of get what that means. Like it's just I don't know all the technical terms either, so I don't want to come off like an expert or anything. But my understanding of it is just like the louder you turn something up, like the more likely it is to clip or like have distortion or sibilance, like on the S sounds, like the sound. So that's another thing. Everybody has their own opinion about this shit. At the end of the day, like in 2021, does it matter? Probably not. But like, how many people are making vinyl, and like if they are, how many of them are doing it in a process where like the master is treated like to that medium the way that it should be, versus like pressings from the 70s or like Mobile Fidelity, the way that they press their records. Like I don't know, man. Like Dialet's not going to sound that great on vinyl is my point.
Yeah, it's
it's
more of just like
it's not going to sound
great. It's like I have this. You know what I mean? Like
it's a collector's item. That's a part of it for sure.
Yeah. No, I find that to be really interesting because like vinyl has boomed, obviously, and like that was always a thing about you like you like vinyl because of its lossless quality. You know what I mean? Like this is like a very high quality version of this recording, blah blah blah. But it's like
hopefully,
albums like that. It's interesting to see something that sounds like that get pressed. Like it's like do you think that the art form or like maybe the medium isn't being used in its proper, like form when this happens, or is it just an evolution of sound?
When new records get pressed, you mean?
Like when obviously like new records, like not every new record is going to sound horrible. I mean, most new records are probably going to sound good, but certain ones that specifically sound like Dialet, a minimalistic trap influence, like, like a bunch of synths and just like.
Yeah. That's another subjective one. Like there's a lot of great electronic sounding records, like Discovery, I think sounds great. And I'm forgetting the name of the mastering engineer, but one of the guys who did like an early version of Discovery, not the latest repress that you'll get like brand new, but the ones that are from like the earlier 2000s were mastered by this guy. I'm fucking blanking on his name. There's like a handful of like famous mastering engineers in the vinyl community, and this guy was one of them. And like, if you go on Discogs, you'll see people like commenting RIP when he died and stuff, because he was like a legend. But I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing. So one of my friends in LA who I was just talking to about NFTs was like, oh, this makes sense because like the collector thing and whatever. And we had a similar conversation last year when I was telling him I was buying a bunch of records. And he was like, yeah, I went into Urban Outfitters the other day and I saw Roddy Ricch on vinyl. Like, who the fuck is buying that? And I was like, a lot of kids are probably going to buy that. And like, I like Roddy Ricch. I'm not going to buy that right now. But like, you know, maybe at some point, if I'm nostalgic about that time or that album, maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to answer that question. It's like some shit sounds good on the medium. Some of it is just collectibles. Like some of it, I pretend like it doesn't exist, you know, a little bit of everything. Like certain versions of certain albums sound better than others too. Especially stuff that was pressed in the 2000s or like came out in like the 90s or 2000s, because the medium was dying then, and now it's like not at all. So there are opportunities to right some of those wrongs. But from what I've heard, the Dark Fantasy remaster is not that good. So I wouldn't bother with that.
Damn.
Not for another 5 or 10 years.
Get the shit right. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I think that's really interesting though. Like maybe because like I know that in terms of like getting a record pressed, if hypothetically I wanted to do that, that's like a pretty long process. I have to be prepared for months ahead.
And expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that mills are going to like pop back up in terms of like, you know, these next few years or stuff? It was like at this point, vinyl is like nuts. Like it's like that's kind of it's kind of weird buying the CD over to vinyl now. Type.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they've surpassed the CD sales. I'm pretty sure by either last year or a couple of years.
Yeah, and CD sales are back up, and so are tapes, which like makes no fucking sense to me because I grew up on tapes. Like I had a deck and I would make mixes and shit when I was a kid. That's where Music DJ 102 comes from. Like straight up. So like, yeah, and tapes sound like shit. So I don't know why people are buying those other than to collect them. And I have a few, like I have Yeezus and like Tori Ma put out a special tape last year that I bought because I love him and like whatever. But
the Soul Trash?
Yeah, the causes of this instrumental. Yeah. I don't know. I think people are already trying to bring it back in a bigger way, and like there's such long turnaround time because of how many things are being pressed now and like how many things are being repressed. So probably would be my answer, but also like a lot of facilities are using machines like from the 70s and 80s still or earlier, which is fucking crazy. And not much has really been innovated like in that medium. Like people are trying to do more like eco-friendly or sustainable, but it's not like it's made out of fucking PVC. So it's like, it's really bad for the environment actually, which makes me like really question when I buy a new record, like, fuck, my footprint is expanding each time I buy a record. But if you do buy vintage and you bring like an unwanted goodwill record back to life and you appreciate it, like that's great. And the same could be said about buying new gear, like new turntables or new, but I mean, like the old shit sounds great if you can fix it up. I don't know, dude. It's like, you know, life's a bitch and then you die is my answer. Like, you know,
that's the perfect answer. Yeah. So before we get out of here, I want to ask you an amazing question. So you're on an island. It's just you. You're with your best friend. They're only there for a week. So you can bring 2 vinyls with you. What are the 2 vinyls? Are you going to just be selfish and just bring 2 vinyls that you're going to like? Or are you going to accommodate your friend for that week that they're there?
And it has to be shit that I own.
And you have like an entire crazy audiophile setup on this island. Like it's
I'm imagining like what Kevin Parker's studio setup looks like, but like a vinyl setup. Yeah. If it's from my collection, I would agree to both albums with somebody. Like I wouldn't want to drive anyone crazy. Like
really?
Yeah, but I don't know what I'd pick. I think I'd probably pick like an Avalanche's record because their albums are so like human and experiential and like good life music. And then I'd have to pick like one rap record. I don't know, like maybe it's Ready to Die or yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you even asked me what I would pick, so this could take another hour. But
I would love to see you like a year later after you was listening to nothing but Avalanches and Ready to Die. That would be a different Max. That's a different.
It's like on one end, it's like super spiritual and chill, and then it's like I'm a pop motherfuckers and like run it up. It's like
that's crazy.
Every
okay,
time I eat a
and then-
meal at Robin Steele, like it's
Yeah.
dangerous as fuck. And then I'll be like really serene when people aren't around. Like
that would be a really
weird.
good balance. Okay, and I gotta ask you one more question. You talked about avalanches. I forgot that we all love avalanches.
Yeah.
Which one are you bringing, bro? It's only 3 of them. Which one are you bringing?
I mean, the first one's such a classic, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of hard not to pick it, but I do love the new record. Highly suggest getting it on vinyl if you can, especially the one that comes with like the fold outs and shit. There's a version that's just the sleeve, and then one that like it like folds out 3 ways, and there's like all this. I think Jonathan Zawada did all the artwork, who's an incredible artist. Zawada did it, and then Grant Spainer did the photography, who's also incredible. Yeah, I probably since I left you, it's such a classic, and I have a cool pressing of it. But the new one is better each time you listen to it, and I wish I didn't listen to the singles because it's a great album. It's a great cohesive record, but the singles they weren't like perfect singles.
I listened to it like twice, and I was like, wait, let me stop. I'm gonna run this shit into the dirt. Like, really beautiful album. Damn, bro. Shout out to the Avalanches one time. Me and Jack had an experience watching. Well, we fucking watched, what was it? The Subways
video. Yeah,
it was the Subway video, bro. We were like we were coming up on the trip. We're coming up, and that shit came on. We were like, yo, dude, like I love the album and the song before. I've watched the music video a million fucking times. But I just remember when the dude walked out and like he had like the nipples moving and shit. I was like, yo, this is it. This is great. This is the peak of humanity.
Oh my god, dude.
It's another amazing episode. This is what, episode 5? This is episode 5 of Talking to URL. We're here.
I'm absolutely honored, by the way. Thank you for having me.
That's a real URLian right there.
Real URLian. Everybody that is on the podcast, you're automatically a URLian. So now walk around with pride knowing that you rep the whole entire internet is on your side. You know what I mean? Like,
thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that.
We're gonna bring you back.
Better not come for me for anything I said.
No. And if y'all come for him, y'all come for me too. So I'll be up there. We can scrap all these people.
Let's get it.
Real talk. But
I'll listen to Ready to Die.
Yes, we'll listen to that. But hell yeah, bro. So we'll have you on here again, obviously.
Yeah, it'd be great. This is a lot of fun.
Yes.
Can I plug one thing, actually?
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
I want to plug one thing.
Anything you want to plug.
Yeah, so you had Haji on last time. I feel like I'm leaking information, but I should plug this. I've basically put Haji together with an artist that we're all friends with named Squibs, who I mentioned earlier. They're doing an NFT together that's dropping soon. So follow Squibs and Haji and buy one. We're making them like as affordable as possible, just so like for people who have never bought an NFT before, this is like a great entry point. It'll be really cool. You're investing in 2 dope musicians. Also, Squibs is also a visual artist, but also he produces and stuff. And yeah, it's gonna be a really cool piece. This is something we've been cooking since December, and then shit just went crazy, and like it was like so much like how do we do this, and like now the gas prices are $200 and like whatever, all this crazy shit. So like it's finally coming out, and we're very excited about it. It's like a real piece to highlight Haji's project from last year, Purgatory. Great project. So yeah, if you see it, spread the word. There aren't going to be a lot of them either, so like I think they're going to go fast. But yeah, I had to plug that.
And what's is there like questions? What's the date again, or y'all don't have a date yet?
I believe the date is March 11th.
Okay, March.
Yeah, it's March 11th.
How do you spell Squib? Like, give their @s, like, so everybody.
Yeah, so it's @Squibs is SQUIBS, and then I think on Instagram it's like Squibs HQ. But if you search him, he'll come up, and he has like a lot of cool like AR filters and shit on his Instagram. And then Haji is HADGI, and then Gaviota is like that's his artist name, Haji Gaviota, GAVIOTA. My brain still works. There we go.
Word. That's cool.
But yeah,
so listen,
follow
this
them.
man trying to give y'all some wealth. This man's trying to go on.
Dude, these could really go crazy. I mean, Haji's coming out. He's making crazy waves right now. I'm proud of him, for real. He's been at this for a minute. And such a good dude. And you should link with Squibs. I feel like he would be cool to have on here too, maybe.
No, definitely.
Around that whole thing.
Yeah. Send me his contact info. We can definitely get him on here because I would love to talk to him, pick his brain about, all this stuff that's going on for real.
Hell yeah. I mean, he's one of the artists that I'm like working closely with on NFT stuff and visual art stuff and like different like creative direction for like EPs and albums and singles and just different shit. But I like almost every day I retweet this tweet I wrote, like I think it was like Squibs to the moon or some shit, because like I want everybody to see that name a million times for when that thing happens and everyone's like, yo, how do I get a Squibs cover, how do I do this, like I want an NFT, I want this. I'll just be like, yo, I told you a year and a half ago and you didn't fucking follow him then, like whatever. So don't sleep. And yeah, just like I'm always down to answer people's questions about the stuff like when I have the time to. So plug your social too. Yeah, it's my Jewish ass name, so it's Max MAX and then Kulchinsky KULCHINSKY. For now, those are my usernames, and I'm gonna be launching like a thing this year most likely. It's been a lot of work and a lot of like blockchain stuff now and all that, but I'm working on some shit. And I think I'm gonna drop an NFT soon. I have a couple ideas. I might have to run it by you guys before I do it, because I've only shown like a couple of people this thing, and I'm like, this is not a cash grab, but like I would probably lose money on doing it, but I just think it's so cool that like I want to do it. You know what I mean? So I'll send it to you guys. I think it's gonna be cool.
Word. Well, Jack, you got anything to say?
Everybody go follow Max. Beautiful human being. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yes.
I appreciate both of you, for real.
Nah, thank you. For real, man. You've always been a source of wisdom to us, you know what I mean? Like, so it's good that we can circle back around after, how we met all that time ago, you know what I mean, and be back on here. So hell yeah, bro. Thank y'all for another amazing episode. See y'all in the next. Peace.